As we've said, the United States Supreme Court has agreed to hear Governor George W. Bush's appeal on whether hand recount should be allowed in Florida. Attorneys for both Bush and Gore will make their arguments before the court this coming Friday. Professor Michael Seidman is on the faculty of Georgetown University Law School, and he watches the Supreme Court closely. Professor Seidman, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, good to have you here. As someone who does watch this court very closely, were you surprised in the first place that they agreed to hear oral arguments on this?
I'd like to say that I predicted it all along, but frankly, I was flabbergasted. I'm afraid that they may have taken the case because they have some messianic view that they alone can settle our long national nightmare. But if they think that, I think they're dead wrong, and that's so for two reasons. The first reason is that the issue that they're hearing really doesn't matter much anymore. The question that they're addressing is the legitimacy of the extension of the deadline for the certification, but the case has already been certified. It's like the election has already been certified. It's a little as if they're arguing about some call in the fourth inning of a playoff game where the playoff game's already been called by rain and now we're into the World Series. There's also a second reason that I think is more important why they're not going to settle this matter, and that is that the legal materials available to them just are not definitive enough to resolve the question one way or the other.
And if the legal materials aren't available to them, does that mean that the case will inevitably be solved by politics and not the law?
I think so, or at least I think it will be perceived that way. You know, this was a tie election, and ties have to be resolved arbitrarily. And the Supreme Court is not, it's not like they are gods, it's not like they're superhuman. They have political views also, and they're certainly perceived to have political views. We saw what happened to the Florida Supreme Court, the way they were savaged.
With 6 of 7 being appointed by Democrats.
Right. Now we have 7 of 9 appointed by Republicans in the Supreme Court. And I just don't believe that there is a neutral, antiseptic, non-political way of settling this dispute.
Scale of 1 to 10, 10 being absolute long shot. What's the situation of one of the justices recusing himself or herself?
I think it's pretty unlikely. I don't see any reason why any of them would recuse themselves.
So if the court rules in favor of Bush, is it over for Gore?
No, certainly not. The issue they're deciding is already water under the bridge. The question now is a challenge to the certification. That's different from the recounts, and the Florida courts have wide discretion about whether to grant the challenge and what sort of remedies to grant, including new recounts, if they want to do that.
Professor Michael Seidman. Professor, thanks so much. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Up next, actor Robert Downey Jr. arrested again. We'll have details after these messages.